For this hat tutorial, you're going to be using 2 different hook sizes. Use the 5.5 millimeter for the body of the hat, and I'm using the 5 millimeter for the brim. I'm using a 4 weight yarn. This is acrylic. It's a worsted weight yarn. And let's get started. Okay, so starting with your 5 millimeter hook, we're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to chain 5. We're going to skip the first chain from the hook and go into the second chain from the hook. And I like to go into the back loops, or into the back humps, like that, and single crochet into the back humps of each of these 4 chains. Okay, and we will have these 4 stitches. So we're gonna do row 2 through row 80 the same way. We're gonna chain 1, turn the work. We're gonna work into the back loops, single crochet into the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. And then we're going to go into both loops of the last stitch and single crochet. That will give you this ridge right here, and that's what we're repeating. So I'll do that one more time. Chain 1, turn the work, single crochet into the back loop, also called a back loop single crochet in most patterns. Single crochet in the back loop of 3. And then in both loops of the last, or the 4th, and you will have 4 single crochet. And you're just going to keep repeating that until your brim is 80 rows in length. And to count that, you're just going to look at the ridges. So that's 1, 2, 3. No. Yes. Okay. I'll meet back with you when you have 80. Okay, this is a ribbing of 80 rows. And the way you would count it is you could count by 2s. You see the little ridges, you count in between, and this is 1, 2. So you go 2, 4, 6, 8, like that. But I'm going to show you guys how I close this ribbing to form the brim. So we're going to seam the brim close. And what I like to do is I will turn without chaining, insert it into the first stitch. We're going to fold this over, sandwich it together. Make sure it's lining up properly without any twists. And we're just going to like that. I inserted it into the first stitch. I'm going to insert it into the other row of the other layer first stitch, and we're just slip stitching this part closed, going into this second stitch, into the next stitch in the back. Oops. Slip stitch close. And that's 4 times because we have 4 stitches on each layer. Right there. And that's the 4. Now we're gonna flip it because this is right now its seam is showing, so we're gonna put it inside out or right side out, and we're just gonna lock it in place and chain 1, and we're going to switch from the 5mm to the next size up, the 5.5. So re-putting the hook in, and you can crochet over this tail. That's what I did. It's what I like to do. So for round 1 of the body of the hat, we're going to chain 1. We already did that. And we're going to work a half double crochet into each side of the row. So in each side of each row, we're going to work 1 half double crochet, and we will have 80 half double crochet when we get all the way around. So just go into the sides, and you could see this is another one, the raised bump. You go in. You see this divot right here in between? That's where you're working. And I'm working my tail, so I'll put my tail over my hook like that, and it'll lock my tail in place. So we're just going to continuously go into each side of the stitch around until you have 80 stitches, like so. And then make sure you count. Your count needs to be a multiple of 8, so you need to make sure that when you get to the other side, you've done the correct amount. So I'm gonna meet back up with you when I'm over here, when we're over here. Okay, so this is the last stitch of round 1 of the body of the hat, and you should have 80 stitches, so count around and make sure that you have 80 stitches, and then we're going to slip stitch into the beginning stitch to join the round. For round 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work into the 3rd back loop. So we have these 2 right here, but with a half double, we always have that 3rd in the back right here. You see that right there? We're going to work a single crochet into the back loop, into the 3rd back loop of each stitch around, like so. So work a back loop single crochet in that 3rd loop around, and I will meet back up with y'all when you get to this last stitch. Okay, so we reached the last stitch of round 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the 1st stitch to join. Now for round 3, we're going to chain 1, single crochet into this 1st stitch right here, skip 3, and then in this stitch we're going to work a 9 double crochet shell. So I'm going to just call it a shell for the rows, the rounds that I do later, but right now I'm just going to say a 9 double crochet shell. And you want to make sure you have 9 because we're going to be working into these sides of the stitches and on the top of the stitch to create this pattern. I need 3 more. Okay, and so now make sure you move this over because this is a lot of stitches in one stitch. So this next stitch tends to hide, but we're going to count 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch, we're just going to do a single crochet right there. And that is the repeat. So we're going to do skip 3. And the next, we're going to work a 9 double crochet shell. Make sure to count. And then we're skipping 3. And we're working a single crochet. And that's what you're repeating around. When we get to this side, we are going to do that skip 3. And we're just gonna slip stitch into the first stitch, which is a single crochet right there. So we're repeating this portion for the pattern repeat. The single crochet, skip 3, 9 double crochet shell, and then we're skipping 3, single crochet, skip 3, 9 double crochet shell. So I will meet back up with y'all when I am 3 stitches away from the first stitch. So I have 3 stitches left, if you could see that. One's hiding right here. 1, 2, 3 stitches left. And I'm going to just slip stitch into the first single crochet to join the brown. And that's how you're finishing that first row of shells off. This is round 3, round of shells I meant. Interchangeable language. So round 4 and 5 are repeats. So this next round is a repeat for this portion of the pattern. So what we're going to do for round 4 is we're going to slip stitch 1 in the next 5 stitches. So slip stitch 5 times. So 1, I already did the 1, we got the 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to do that loosely because we're going to, for our last, we're going to do a cluster decrease of 9. We're going to do it over these stitches over here. So we needed to do that loosely. So to begin the round, we slip stitch and we're going to chain 1 and single crochet into the same stitch we chained up from. Okay, now we're gonna chain 3, and we're going to work the beginning portion of a double crochet, but we're not going to finish it. So we yarn over, insert our hook, draw through 2, but we're keeping this on the hook. So ideally what you would want to do for this portion is get a hook with a longer neck, because this is going to be kind of similar to Tanishan, where we have to get a lot of loops on the hook because we're doing a cluster. And a cluster is when we decrease and then draw through all 3. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a sec. So that's the first one. We're going to keep doing that across. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5 is in the single crochet, 6, 7, 8, and then our 9th one. To kind of put it into perspective, when I was doing this, I would work my decrease or my double crochet decrease down, hit the single crochet, and I know that's 5 stitches, and then I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would know I have 9. And what you can also do is count your loops. You're gonna have 10. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And we're gonna draw through all of these. So this is our 9 double crochet cluster. It really helps to use your ring finger on your other hand to kind of hold these loops down. So we're gonna yarn over, we're gonna draw through all 10 of these loops on the hook. And it kind of looks like a star stitch, if you know what a star stitch looks like. And then we're going to chain 4. This first chain is going to lock these stitches into place together, and these other 3 chains are to help us reach this next stitch that we're going to work in. See, this is the last stitch we put the double crochet into. Then right next to it, we're going to single crochet. And this is what we're going to repeat across. I want to take note that if you look, there's this hole right here. That will be where we work our shell stitch in the next round. So I just want to point out the anatomy. Just to recap what we did, we single crocheted, chained 3, worked 9 double crochet cluster or over these 9 stitches, chained 4, and then single crocheted into the next stitch. If you could see that, these are the stitches we worked our double crochet in. If I pull it, you can see that the double crochet is there. And then this is the stitch that's next to it. But to reach that stitch, we had to chain an amount. Okay, so I'm going to continue. We're going to chain 3. And we're going to repeat what we just did, and I'm going to show you. We're going to work like we're doing a double crochet once, 2 times, 3, 4. The 5th one goes into the single crochet, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And we will have 10 loops on our hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And we're gonna yarn over and draw through all 10 of these loops. And that is our 9 double crochet. I'm gonna call this a cluster. And then we're gonna chain 4. Like I said, the first chain is meant to lock these stitches in place. And the chain 3 is like similar to the one we're doing for the single crochet. And that's basically what you're repeating across, because you're going to work, and I'll meet you here because I want to show you that we're going to work across these stitches that we slip stitched into. When we get back to this point, it'll become more seamless, like you won't see the slip stitches. So I'm going to meet back with you guys at this point. This point we'll have a single crochet right here, and then we'll work down 4, work up 4, work down 4, double, into the single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll have 9. So I'm gonna meet back up with you right here. Okay, so I've reached the last 9 stitches of the round, and I did my chain 3. I'm just going to show you how to work into those slip stitches. So I'm going to 2, 3, 4. See, this is the chain 1 and the single crochet. We're going to, or this is the slip stitch and the single crochet. We're going to work into the single crochet, and then we're going to work into this part of the stitch. So we're going to do the double crochet cluster in the last 4 double crochet stitches. So that's 2, this is 3, and then this is the 4th one right here. Oops. 4th one right there. So that's 9 in total. We should have 10 loops on the hook. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. Is there hair in there? No. So that's our 10 loops. We're going to yarn over and draw through all 10. And we're going to finish with a chain of 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, the beginning stitch, which is a single crochet. And that's where we're slip stitching. And this is of the round 4. So it looks like this, it looks like the shell, but it's upside down. Okay, so for round 5, this is another repeat. So for the round 5 repeat, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet into the single crochet or the stitch we chained up from. Then we're going to do a shell into this chain that's in the center of the upside down shell cluster right there. So we're basically going to skip these 3 chains and work into the center right here, and that's where we're going to put our shells. And that's 9 double crochet into the same stitch. your stitches. I suggest to count your stitches or count your stitches in your shells every time you do it, because yeah, you don't want to have less than you need. It'll mess up your next row or round. So this is 9. We're gonna skip this chain of 4 or chain of 3 because this is the chain that we worked into anyway. So we're skipping these and we're gonna work into the single crochet. Single crochet into that stitch. And this will be the repeat around. We're gonna single crochet into the single crochet, skip these chains, and then do a shell into the next stitch. That's basically what we're repeating around. So we're working 9 double crochet. Yep, 9 stitches. And then single crochet into the next single crochet. And that's what we're repeating. So it looks like this. And sometimes you just adjust it so it kind of falls into place. So I'm just going to repeat that around. We'll end with a shell into this last chain space. We'll skip these and we'll slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, and that's where I'm going to meet you guys back up. So I'll meet back up with you when I'm going to do the slip stitch. I reached the other side of the hat and I'm going to end with a slip stitch into the single crochet, Lord. Anyway, slip stitch into the single crochet in the beginning to end the round. Now, this hat pattern is a repeat of rounds 4 and 5. So what you're going to do is for round 6, you're going to go back if you need and re-watch round 4. So I will put it on the screen right here. So for round 6 is a repeat of round 4. Round 7, you're going to repeat round 5, and then you're going to go back to round 4 for round 8 and repeat it. So you're repeating round 4, round 5, and round 4. And that's going to give you 3 more rounds, and that will end this part of the hat. So rewatch, and then I'll join you back for round 9. Okay, I reached the last stitch and I chained 4 and I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch in the beginning. And it will look like this. You'll have this flat edge. So what we're going to do is do some half double crochets into each stitch around. For row 9, we're going to do half double crochets around. So we're going to chain 1, half double crochet into the first stitch we chained up from. And then we have 3 chains right here. What we're going to do is drop down 1 row below, and we're going to work our 3 half double crochets. So we did our first into the stitch below. We're going to yarn over, insert it into this part of the double crochet, draw through, so that's like so. And then our third half double is going to go onto this side of that double. So it's gonna look like this. We have our first one here. This one's going into the stitch below. This is in the side of the stitch, and then this is in the other side of the stitch, because with a half double you have almost 3 parts to it. So we're going to continue. I'm going to work into the center of the cluster. I'm going to work into the side of this stitch right here. Because we have 3, we're going to work 3. Into the base of the stitch. Then this one's going to go into this part of the stitch right here, into the side of the stitch. And then the third is going to go into the base of this 9 double crochet. So that'll be 3 stitches in between this part right here. Right here. And this one went into the center. I'm gonna do a half double into the single. And then I'm going to work, because we have 3 chains here, we're gonna work so that there's no gap. That's why I'm doing it like this. So I'm gonna drop down to this double from 2 rows down, and I'm gonna work into that, doing a half double. I'm going to work into this base of this double. Then I'm going to work my last 2 into the double right there and into the side of the double. So our half doubles are going to be kind of closing these chains. If I were to work into the chain, I'm going to work into the center right here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. If I were to work into the chain, I work 3 double crochet or 3 half double into the chain, there would be this huge gap. This is the first hat I made using this stitch, and there's this huge gap right here that I don't like, and so I'm showing you guys a different way to do this so that the gap is gone for this particular stitch, because if not, it's just going to be super holy up there. So I'm going to do this again to show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to look at our stitches and find the side of this stitch and drop down into it. So make sure it looks nice to you. But I'm dropping down to this stitch right here, and I'm working in it in the side, and I'm going to work in the top of this double crochet from a row down, and then I'm going to work into that single crochet. And you should have 3 half doubles in between this center of the cluster and the stitch that's into the single crochet. There will be 3. So this is this stitch, this, there should be 3. So I have 4 here. I'm gonna have to take it out and fix that because that's too many. So there's 3 stitches in between each cluster space and each single crochet or top of the stitch. So just repeat that around. You should have the same amount of stitches that you started with when you started this portion down here. So you should have 80 stitches going around the top of the hat, or 80 half double crochet stitches. I reached the other side. If you count your stitches, you should have 80 stitches around. Like I said, we're going to be going into the sides of the double crochets that are in the previous row. That way the chain is closed, and we're also working that around the chain 3s that we have. So I'm going to slip stitch into the first half double, and that'll end the round. Round 10, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to be working into the back third loop of the half double crochet. Typically we go into the 2 loops on the top, but there's a hidden third loop, and we're going to single crochet into that. That will pop these parts of the stitch upward, the braid upward, and then you'll, what was that? You'll be able to see a little chain braid. So that's what we're doing around, just single crocheting in the back loops, or back loop single crochet. And I will join you back around when you've got to this point back on this side. Okay, so I reached the last stitch of the round, and I'm going to end with a slip stitch into the beginning stitch. Now this will begin our decrease rows. We're going to do the crown. Now for round 11, we're going to start our decrease for the crown. We're going to be working double crochets and invisible double crochets, and I will show you what that looks like. So round 11, chain 1, and we're going to do an invisible double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert into the front loop of the first and of the next stitch, draw round, yarn over, draw up a loop, draw through 2, and draw through 2, and this will give us a double crochet decrease over 2 stitches. And we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches normally into both loops, and that will be the repeat around. I'll show you that again. So we're going to do an invisible double crochet decrease. So we yarn over, insert the hook into the front loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and that's the decrease. And then we'll double crochet into the next 3 stitches, and just repeat that around, and I'll meet back up with you when we get over onto this side. Okay, so this is the last stitch of round 11, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch to join. We're going to start round 12. We'll chain 1, do a front post double crochet in the first stitch. If you don't know what a front post is, you're yarning over, going into the center of this stitch and the center under the loops of the next stitch, pulling this forward. It'll look like this in the back, and then you're just working your double crochet normally. Now in the over the next 2 stitches, we're going to do an invisible double crochet, grabbing those top loops, those front loops, and double crocheting normally. And now I'm going to double crochet over the next 5 stitches. And that will be the repeat. So we'll do a front post, an invisible decrease, and then double crochet 1 in the next 5, and I'll show you that again. So we're doing the front post, invisible double crochet decrease, and then double crochet 1 in the next 5. And we'll meet back up when we get over here. So just continue that repeat, and I'll put it on the screen for you so you know. Okay, so this is the last stitch. I'm going to slip stitch and move on to round 13. So round 13, we're chaining 1. We are doing a front post double crochet. We're going to decrease over the 2 stitches in the front loop, doing that invisible decrease. And then we're going to double crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. So we're going to keep repeating this around 1 in the next 4 stitches. We're doing that. So that's what it looks like. The front post, the invisible decrease, and then double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And we're repeating this around and slip stitching into the beginning stitch to join. So I'll meet back up with you when I'm at the last stitch. Okay, so I reached the end of round, and I'm going to, you guessed it, slip stitch in the first stitch to end round. Round 14, we're going to basically just keep repeating kind of what we're doing. We'll do that front post, double crochet. We're going to decrease over the front loops of the next 2 stitches, which is a invisible double crochet, decrease, and then we're going to we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and that is what you're going to repeat around. So to recap, front post double crochet, invisible double crochet decrease, double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then slip stitch in the beginning. And I'll meet back up with you when I'm at the last stitch. Okay, so I reached the end of round 14, and I'm going to, you guessed it, slip stitch in the first stitch to end round. And I'm going to start round 15. For round 15, we're going to chain 1, work a front post in the first front post double crochet, work 1 invisible decrease over the front loops of the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And that will be the repeat. So we'll repeat that. We're going to do a front post, do a decrease, invisible decrease, and then double crochet 2. And I'll meet you on this side when you've completed that. This is the last stitch of the round, and I'm going to slip stitch. Now we're going to do round 16, and if you're doing a messy bun beanie, round 16 is where you stop doing your decreases. But anyways, let's continue. So we're doing the front post like we've been doing for the decrease rounds. Doing an invisible double crochet decrease by going in the front loops only, working a decrease. And then we're going to double crochet 1 in the next stitch. And that's the repeat. So we'll do the front post, do the invisible decrease, and then we'll do 1 double crochet. So we're repeating that around until we get to this last stitch right here. Okay, so this is the end of round 16, and we're going to end with a slip stitch into the first beginning stitch. And like I said, if you wanted to do a messy bun beanie, this would be where you would stop. You would do slip stitches around, maybe single crochet and add a little hair tie if you want it to be tight like that. But this is the round in which you would end and add a hair tie, or, you know, finish off and tie off the yarn, because this opening would be nice for a messy bun. But we are going to make a beanie, so we're going to continue on with round 17. So we'll chain 1, make a front post double crochet, decrease in the front loops, and then that's the repeat. We're going to do a front post double crochet and do the decrease and visible decrease, and that's basically what you're repeating around until you reach this stitch right here. Okay, this is the last stitch of the round, and we're going to slip stitch into the beginning stitch to join. Now we're going to move on to the last round. It's going to be round 18. We're going to chain 1. So I'm going to go into the stitch, pull through the 2 loops, insert into the next stitch, pull through 2 loops, 3 loops on the hook. We're going to draw through all 3 loops. That's how we're going to end it, because there's a gaping holes on the top and I don't like that. This will make it less. So that's what you're repeating around. We're just doing the decreases. All around until we reach this point, and I'll meet back up with you guys. Okay, so this is the last stitch of the round. We're just going to slip stitch into the first decrease of the round and chain 1 to finish off. Okay, so this is the hole that we're left with at the top. You're just going to cut some yarn long enough to sew it in, something like this, and sew the top close going through each front loop, and that'll end your hat. It'll look like this.